So those of you who are just joining, feel free to ask any questions regarding visas, residence permits, Czech citizenship, starting a business in the Czech Republic, looking for accommodation like long-term lease, buying properties potentially as well, but that's not that much of my expertise. Health insurance, bring in your families, anything, basically whatever questions you might have, feel free to ask them and I'll do my best to answer them. We'll see how many people will join depending on that and depending on how many questions there will be. This live stream might be either short or it might be long as always or usually. So guys, those of you who are joining, feel free to ask any questions, type them in the chat and I'll be happy to answer them. Until then, I will be meanwhile awkwardly dancing here. Yeah, maybe not. Yeah, so guys, anything you're interested in Czech immigration, different types of visas, residence permits, permanent residency, Czech citizenship, finding accommodation, health insurance, anything, starting a business in the Czech Republic, anything you're interested in, type your questions in. I'll be happy to answer. Mir, hi Mir, thank you very much for joining. Mohammed, watching, good. You can try asking as well if you have any questions. Let me. Yeah, that's our office friend here. You can ask him questions too if you want. Why Czech visa is so rigid? Well, I talked about it a lot in the last live stream. So if you didn't watch it, go to the last one, which was from Thursday last week. And I talked about it a lot in there. But generally speaking, Czech Republic, I would say there are a couple, there are combinations of factors. So first, Czech Republic is not really that big of a country. We only have 10 million people living here. Okay, and if you in 2022, I believe there were 600,000 foreigners, which is 5%, which is not that much. But if you get to 10%, or now it might be, it's probably around 10% now, because around 400,000 of Ukrainians came here because of the war. Not everyone's staying, but let's say 1 million foreigners out of 10 million people or 11 million people. That's becoming quite a lot, so the Czech immigration just needs to regulate this. Plus, there is politics. So for some countries, for some nationalities, the visa process is pretty straightforward. For other countries, not that much. Plus, they also need to take into consideration different scams and different how people abuse the system. Because some countries, from the perspective of the Ministry of the Interior, some countries are known for people just trying to get a Czech or EU visa, and they don't really care if it's from the Czech Republic or Poland or somewhere else. So they also try to limit the amount of people who come from these countries. So I think there are many factors and others as well, because it's still been just 30 years. Is it 30? 93, 30 years of experience of the Czech Republic with immigration, which 30 years might seem like a lot, but it's a lot to cover, and there were plenty of more important things, I would say, to get the country going and get rid of the previous regime's bad habits, let's say. So immigration was never really the main topic for the Czech Republic. So I think all these factors combined make it as it is. Hello, sir. Hi, Subhash. Imitias Ahmad. Hi, Imitias from Saudi. Hi, Imitias. How I move there? Well, you first need to know what you want to do here. And then based on that, you can think about some kind of visas. Because from Saudi Arabia, it might not be that complicated. I don't know if there are any quotas for work, like employment type of visas. I would need to double check. But you first need to know exactly what you want to do in the Czech Republic and why. Because there is a very big difference if you have a Czech wife, or if you want to study in the Czech Republic, or if you want to run business in the Czech Republic, if you want to work, like be employed in the Czech Republic. So different types of visas have completely different processes and different sets of documents and different chances of approval. So you should start with that. Like, why do you want to move to the Czech Republic and what do you want to do here? And based on that, you can start planning the rest. Mohamed Nurul Alam, tell me something about getting Czech citizenship. I live in Czech Republic for 8 years. How do I get Czech citizenship if I have permanent residency? Yeah. If you're pleasing that nicely, then I will tell you. Generally speaking, you can apply for Czech citizenship after 10 years of living in the Czech Republic, or after 5 years of having the permanent residency. Usually it goes hand in hand. So if you have 5 years of permanent residency, it means you've been living here for 10 years. But it depends, because sometimes you can, for students, for example, you can get PR after a longer period of time. In some cases, you can get PR in a shorter amount of time, so it depends, but generally, you can apply for Czech citizenship after 10 years of living here or after 5 years of having permanent residency. And then there are a bunch of documents you need to provide, and I would say the most important thing is that you need to prove that you are integrated enough into the society. So if you only speak whatever English or whatever other language, you only have foreign friends, you don't own any property, you don't have any like Czech spouse, any Czech kids or EU living here or anything like that, might be pretty difficult. But if you have like Czech wife, 2 kids, you own the property here, you run a business here, you've been active in different, you speak fluent Czech, you've been active in different, I don't know, NGOs or some organizations, you organize events, you're integrated into society, then you have definitely higher chances of getting the Czech citizenship. Sumed Hanil, yes, so true, but this is total discrimination towards certain countries. Well, I would be kind of careful with the word discrimination. But of course, yes, for some countries it's more, more complicated to get visas. For some countries it's easier to get visas, but it's not that way purely like out of discrimination. But it has some reasons, as I mentioned. In some countries, like let's say Egypt, Algeria, Tunisia, there are so many like fake marriages that people just marry a Czech woman to get here, and then once they get the visa, they just leave to Germany or something, whatever, that the government kind of needs to react to that. Then also politics, whatever we want to think about that. There are countries you want to have good relationship with, and you make it easier for their citizens to get here, and they, on return, make it easier for your citizens. So it's also about the like how much the other country is willing to cooperate with the Czech government, all that. So I would definitely be careful with discrimination, because anyway, there is no right for foreigners to get a visa in the Czech Republic. Czech Republic in the constitution is meant for Czech citizens, and if the Czech Republic wanted, if the Czech government wanted, they would not be obliged to allow anyone, not a single foreigner, into the Czech Republic, because in the constitution it says that Czech Republic is meant primarily for Czech citizens. So the fact that they already let like 1 million of foreigners live here already shows that there is not like much. It's not exactly we don't want foreigners here, but the government needs to filter them somehow, and there are some rules. We can agree with that, we can like disagree with that, but that's just how it is. Subhash, let's say if I have master's degree already in electronics engineering, I want to study a second master's degree in electronics in Czechia. Do the ministry reject the application? Well, it depends on how much sense it makes. And what kind of, how you sell it, let's say, at the embassy when you have the interview. Because in my opinion, just briefly looking at what you described, definitely makes more sense if you have a degree in electronic engineering that you want to get another degree in the same field, because it might be it might be more specialized course. It might be something that will help you down the road, like expand your career or whatever. So it kind of makes sense. Would probably make more sense to go for a PhD. But if it's in the same field, it might make sense. It just depends on how you explain that during the interview at the embassy, and also who will get your case, who will be the decision maker making the decision about your case. It's, in my opinion, definitely stronger case than if you studied electronic engineering and now you wanted to come to the Czech Republic to get second master's in hospitality, for example. So yeah, I think it's better than it could be, but it depends on how you sell it at the embassy. Zippel, Ahoyan, there were some changes in the law in Germany for Balkan countries. It's no news to pass language exam. Is something similar happening in the Czech Republic as well? Not aware of that at the moment. But if you follow the channel, if we hear any news, we always share it here, or I always share it here. But when we in Move to Prague hear the news, I share it here, and we share it on our other channels as well. So you'll definitely know if something like that happens in the Czech Republic. I'm thinking if there are any news I've heard of, something that would be there. No, but there are some exceptions anyway, like who doesn't need to pass the language exam if you're, for example, above 60 years of age or below 15, or if you have some disabilities. So you don't have to pass. If you're a family member of an EU citizen, you don't need to pass the exam either. So there are exceptions. There are also other kind of other certificates that will be accepted, because up until recently you had to have this one specific exam for the PR that was like a specific PR exam. Now the ministry should accept some other certificates as well. So it's getting better, but I'm not aware of anything specifically for Balkan countries and language requirements. Dhaval Parmar, study purpose process in 60 days. How can I calculate with only working days or with holidays? Well, first of all, 60 days doesn't mean 60 days. With the Czech immigration, 60 days can mean 2 weeks, and it can mean like 6 months. So definitely don't count with 60 days. Okay, that's the first thing. If you know that your school starts 1st of October and you think that if you apply like 1st of August that you will be good, no, very likely not. Maybe by January you will still not have a decision. So that's one thing. You cannot really kind of trust, or you cannot really take the official deadlines seriously, because the ministry does not really stick to them. They do in some cases. In some cases they are even faster, but in some cases they take like 2 times more, 3 times more, 10 times more time than they should have. So first of all, don't really trust the official deadlines. Second, it's calendar days. So it's including weekends, including holidays, everything. So 60 days, 60 calendar days from when you submitted the application. News need autocorrect. I believe I understood the question, so no worries. Sumenda, there are good and bad people in all countries. Anyway, thanks for the reply. Yeah, I completely agree that there are good people and bad people in all countries. But if you see trends, like, again, I'm not justifying this with, yeah. But the Ministry of the Interior sees the trends in everything. Okay, so they don't see like one person, okay, this is a good person, this is a bad person. They see that like from this country, 80% of applications are fake. Okay, and then it kind of makes sense that you will make it difficult for people from that country, because you know that 80% of people who apply for a Czech visa fake it or like use like fake documents or whatever, or like they don't really want to move here, so they have to react. It would be stupid not to. If you see that from this country like 5% of people have trouble with the application, 5% of people fake it or whatever, it's different than if you see that 80% of people try to fake it. So of course there are bad people, good people. It's anyway kind of a definition. It's a question of definition, what is good and bad. But there are people who want to follow the rules. There are people who don't want to follow the rules. The ministry sees the whole like statistics. You know, they are not like they see all the hundreds of thousands of cases, so they can probably, or at least I wanna believe so, that they can make decisions based on the trends and the whole numbers, not just like what they think, but what they can actually find out from the numbers. Mohammed Nurul Alam, thank you for always supporting with your valuable information. My pleasure. Thank you for joining and asking questions, guys. Our man in Prague, okay. Hi there, I'm from UK and I have trade license in Czech Republic. I'm now a Czech taxpayer, although I'm a director of a UK company. In the UK, tax on dividends is only 8.5, but now I'm paying 15. Dividends do not count towards the 60-40 trade license rules here. This seems unfair as my company, which I'm 50% shareholder, has already paid 20% corporation tax in the UK. So is this just a rent, or there is a question to that? Well, there are some countries which don't have the agreements preventing double taxation with the Czech Republic. So you could actually, if you were from some other country than UK, you could actually be double taxed. You would have to pay taxes in the country of origin, plus you would have to pay the same tax here. So it might be worse. I of course understand that if you have to pay higher taxes, that sucks. But yeah. Why is it so? Bharat Krishna, why is it so hard to get VFX to Czech Republic? I don't know what you mean by VFX. I'm trying to see. That seems like some diagram or something, VFX, or some virtual reality googles or something. I don't know. If you want to specify what VFX means, please do. Subhash, if the university nominates us for student mode to get an appointment, at the same time, can I apply from my side separately for the appointment? Do we face any problem if we did this? Honestly, I don't know if you could face any problems. You will be taking a spot for someone else who could have applied. So that's the thing. But I don't think it matters. It just depends kind of on one thing which you cannot really know. Maybe ask the school, maybe they will tell you. But the thing is that with the student mode, it works the way that they nominate you there, but you never know when and if you get the appointment. Because let's say there are schools can nominate in total, all the schools in the Czech Republic for one specific embassy, I don't know, 400 people. But maybe they've nominated all 2,000 people. So there is 5 times more people nominated than is the capability of the embassy. So even though you've been nominated by the school to the student mode, you might never get an appointment, or you might get it like 3 months later, 5 months later, 7 months later, whatever. So the student mode can be a great help, but it also might not necessarily be a great help, depending on how many people are applying. So now I would say it's good. You have pretty good chances because now the season is not the highest, but closer we will get to July, then August, September, then it will become more crazy. So I don't see much of a problem if you try to get an appointment yourself as well. But then if you manage to do that, I would probably let the school know, or let the embassy, probably the school, know that you got an appointment and that you don't need the nomination anymore. So maybe they can give it to someone else. Bharat Krishna, I got work permit from the Czech Republic but couldn't come to the Czech Republic because I couldn't get VFX. Why is it so hard? Again, I don't know what you mean by VFX. Maybe it's a typo and you actually mean visa. um, guys, I've been saying this like during every live stream for the last like million years. When dinosaurs were still like on the earth, I was already doing live streams and I was explaining this, that you should never pay for a work permit to anyone before verifying with them that they can get you an appointment. This is how most of people get scammed, because let's say there are two types of, if you get a work permit, usually people mean by that you get an employment contract, some offer from a Czech company. There are two types of offers. One is for a short-term visa for up to 3 months, which is done through the VFS usually, sometimes through embassies as well, depends. But yeah, there you actually might have some chances of getting an appointment, because depends of course on the season and everything, but it's possible. But if you get a contract for a longer period of time, like a year or two or something, and you're from some specific countries like India, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, what is there? Yeah, whatever, in that, India, of course. But so you will never get an appointment. Even if you have the employment contract, if you have accommodation proof, you will never get an appointment, because there are no appointments available. Zero, nada, nichts, no appointments. And the question is, if the companies who are selling you the work permit, if they know that and they're scamming you on purpose, or if they don't know that, which might be even worse because they don't know what they're doing at all. So I would like, guys, if you share this, please do that. Before you pay someone, I don't know, like 1,600 euros or like 2,000 euros, 3,000 euros, whatever people pay for a work permit, verify with the agency that they can get you an appointment. If they tell you, no, we cannot get you an appointment, you have to get it yourself, don't pay anything, most likely you are getting scammed. So that's the reason why you cannot get an appointment, because there are no available appointments. Yeah, I'm starting to be a bit cynical about that, because I've been explaining this for months and months, and maybe like the last 2 years since I started these like videos and live streams and everything, and people still fall for that. You know, people still pay like thousands of euros to get a work permit for the Czech Republic, and then they wonder that for 2 years they are not able to get an appointment, because there are simply no appointments. And the people who sell it to you probably know that, and they still sell it to you. So, guys, what the fuck? And I will be banned from YouTube after this. They don't like cursing. Anyway, Ahmed, that's one of my part of the community, the one who is a member of my channel, actually, not just a subscriber. Hello, Mr. Jan, is there any benefits to make an appeal to Schengen visa? Honestly, we don't really deal with Schengen visas, like short-term visas, so I cannot really advise on that. But generally, short-term visas those are decided directly by embassies. So if the embassy, and you appeal to the embassy as well. So if the embassy didn't approve it the first time, you can make an appeal. Like, okay, how it works for the long-term options. In some cases, you can make an appeal just to show that you don't agree with the decision, which kind of sets grounds for the next application. Because if they tell you, we denied your visa because you lied during the interview, and if you don't do anything, then you kind of confirm that you lied during the interview. So it makes sense to make an appeal saying, I didn't lie, this is my reasoning, blah, blah, blah. It will most likely not change the decision, but you will at least show that you didn't agree with the result, and that you didn't agree with the reasons, which might set grounds for good grounds for the next application. So it depends on what you want to try to do. Like, most likely an appeal, either for a short-term visa, long-term visa, will not change the decision, because they can only change the appeal or the ministry can change their decision if they made some mistake. You know, if they read some documents incorrectly and they denied the visa because they thought your accommodation was available until December 2023, but in real it was December 2024. So if they made a mistake like that, you can appeal it and they can change the decision. But if they denied your visa because you didn't seem too real about your reason to come like to the Czech Republic or returning back, it's hardly something you can successfully appeal. Walid Hassan, hi, can foreign children holding PR apply for citizenship without parents having Czech citizenship? That's a good question, honestly. I would need to double check. I would say that if they meet the requirements, why not? Like if they've been here for 10 years or they have the PR for 5 years, I don't see a reason why not. I know that kids can apply with parents even if they don't meet the conditions. So if you as a parent are applying for a Czech citizenship, you can include your kids in that as well, even though they might not meet the requirements. But if it works the other way around, honestly, I would need to double check. I think so. Why not if they meet the general requirements? But it might be a bit more, well, it depends. I would need to double check. If you want, just like get in touch and I will try to find, like, confirm the answer. Mir, as a Kurd who got Iraqi passport, I applied to this university and they said that I have to do my entrance exam in Czech. And since I'm an Iraqi, I can get visa just for an entrance exam. Any solution? Well, try to negotiate maybe with the school if you could do it online somehow. Other than that, maybe try to get a short-term visa through other country, not the Czech Republic directly, but some other country which will, the visa will allow you to come to the Czech Republic as well. So that's probably the only options I can think of right now. Melek, I have 7 months in Czech, I still can't find job. They all want Czech language. Is it really hard? Even I talk 3 languages. Maybe you're just looking at incorrect places. Also depends on what kind of, well, finding jobs, I would say, is not really that difficult in the Czech Republic, generally speaking. There are way more jobs available than people. So strictly like numbers speaking, you should be always able to find a job. Question is, where you're looking, what you are looking for. You know, if you're looking for any type of job, or if you want job just in this one specific field, then also depends on what you're bringing to the table. Because if you have valuable skills, then companies are more likely to do something for you, like to hire you, even if you have some weird type of visa. If you don't bring anything like 3 languages, I understand. But if they can easily find someone else with the same skill set as you, who can be employed easier, like Czech citizens, EU citizens, they will probably always prefer that. Also depends on what kind of visa you have, because not all types of visas allow you to work, or it can also get confusing for the HR. They might not be exactly sure, and instead of trying to like either waiting for you for like 6 months before you get an employee card or something, or just like not being sure if they can hire you and risking like high fines from the labor office, they might just choose someone else. So I guess it's a combination of many factors. Is there any age limit to study in the Czech Republic? Well, yeah, 0. If you're just born, you cannot study in the Czech Republic. And then if you're dead, then you cannot really study in the Czech Republic either. Well, no, I don't know actually what exactly you're asking about. You can get a student visa in different like scenarios. You can get a student visa even if you're studying in high school, so like from 15 to 18, 19-ish. We've seen students who were like over 40, 45 maybe. So yeah, it also depends on like if you need to get a visa. If you just want to study here, if you have like a family reunification visa, let's say, you can study here freely. So even if you're like 70 years old, you can find a program you want to study, and if you pass the entrance exam, you can study. There is no limitation in that. Question is, if you want to get a visa based on that, then there are other things in play as well. So there would be some limitations, but not strictly age limits. Actually, I have a master's electronics degree, and I want to study automotive electronics specific course. What will happen in this case? What if I extend to valid reason second master's? Well, this is very specific, and that's very kind of difficult for me to answer this kind of question because I only know what you told me. I don't know the whole story. I don't know how you will perform at the embassy. Don't know exactly what questions they will ask and what is your real motivation to study that. Because generally, I made a video about student visa interview. So if you haven't checked that, go to my channel and just search for student visa interview. I think it's called, the video, and I talk about that in details there. Because they will be looking at your whole story. And if you want to study in the Czech Republic, you need to have a solid reason to study in the Czech Republic. Which usually means that, okay, I went through 60 different programs in 10 different countries. I compared all that. You can see it here in my spreadsheet. And Czech Republic came out the best because blah, blah, blah. I don't know, it's the cheapest or it's the best rated, or it's closest to what I want to do in the future, or closest to what I studied and I want to expand the knowledge, whatever. So it depends on how kind of, it's one of the most stupid reasons to deny your application, how motivated you are, but in a way it makes sense. It's kind of a weird situation. So if your whole story makes sense and you can explain it to the embassy, then you should be fine. But if it doesn't really make sense, or you cannot properly explain it, or if it doesn't make sense and you cannot properly explain it combined, then your chances definitely decrease. Dobrý den divadlo Kororo. What is divadlo Kororo? Dobrý den, co je divadlo Kororo? Co tam hrajete a kde jste? Bharat VFX visa application. Okay, understood. Thank you. Mohammed Nural Alam, I think he want to say about VFS Global. Yep, so now that's explained. Omar Designs, hello Mr. Jan, good to see you again. Maybe he's trying to say VFS. Omar, nice to see you here too. Zippel, ahoy me again. Is there an issue for a blue card if I'm in a short-term contract, 6 to 9 months, and not permanent one? I rejected the offer because I'm about to extend the new one in September. So I will read that again. Is there an issue for the blue card if I am on short-term contract 6-9 months and I'm not permanent one? I rejected the offer because I'm about to extend the new one in September. I'm not exactly sure I understand the question, but generally there used to be a rule that for a blue card you needed at least 1 year contract. For shorter contracts it would not be possible to get it approved. I'm actually not sure. Because we usually don't get short-term contracts for employee cards or blue cards. We do a lot of employee cards, we do a lot of blue cards, but it's usually at least 2 years. Now the maximum validity of the blue card is 3 years, so it switched to 3 years, or mainly the contracts are unlimited. So I don't think I've ever seen even like a contract for just 6 to 9 months, so I'd never had the need to verify the information. And if it changed, it has changed with the latest change of law, which was just last year. So I don't know actually from top of my head, but it used to be 1 year minimum. So 6 or 9 months would not work. And like, even if you consider that the whole approval process can take like 4 months or something. So if you only had, and plus then the biometrics that you need to wait 2 months for the appointment and to pick up the card. Then even if you had the like 6 months contract, then the blue card would be approved for what, like 1 month or something. So it doesn't really make sense anyway to switch if you only have this short contract. But yeah, I would need to double check if the rules changed or not. Multi-Alper. Hi Jan, my father Czech for health reasons. I have to move to Czech Republic. To stay near him, I will have a C-type visa this month. as I know I can be converted to long-term residence, but about my wife and my child. Well, I think we would need to discuss that. So if you wish, get in touch. Not here now because I'm still live, but if you go to some of my previous videos, there is always a link to a form which you can fill in and get in touch, and I will be happy to consult about that with you. Because if you're not an EU citizen, your father is Czech, well, that might be already complicated itself, because you need to prove that. Well, there are some things you need to prove if you want to like live with your parents or bring your parents here, because generally any type of family reunification is not really meant for parents or for siblings or anything like that. So there are some special conditions you need to meet. So if he's ill and you need to stay with him for like reasons, like health reasons, and you can prove it, so you have like some documents from hospital and everything, then it might be fine. Question is about your family. Yeah, I would need to double check that as well, because it's already the first complicated step might be for you to get the residence permit and then bring in your wife and child. I would need to double check, because it's technically situations like that are possible, because the whom you can bring kind of applies the same way to the like Czech citizen, let's say, and their spouses as well. So if, for example, your spouse is not you're a Czech citizen, your spouse is not, so they get the temporary residence permit, for example, and then your spouse has kids which are not yours, like from previous marriage or whatever, they can still be brought here because the rules like are kind of the same for you and for them as well. So it might be possible, but I would need to know a bit more about your situation, and I would need to double check as well. Zippo, one more question. New blue card validity is now 3 years, but for unemployed spouse that would mean around 75k private insurance. Is it possible to get 2 years health insurance and try for 3 years? No, not really. Not really. If you want to get 3 years of residence permit, you have to get 3 years of health insurance. But if you're applying for a blue card, 75 is around the minimum salary you need to be getting. So it's basically like 3 years of insurance is worth one of your like monthly salary. So the solution might be like waiting with bringing your spouse after you like save for the insurance, or you can bring the spouse under long-term visa, which the maximum validity is 1 year. So you just need to buy health insurance for 1 year, and then you can apply for the residence permit. At that point, your blue card will only have 2 years of validity, so you only need to buy 2 years of health insurance. So of course, again, like also depends on how old are you or how old is your spouse, because we can, if you're below 30, for example, we can get you health insurance for 15,000 crowns a month. So that would be basically 45 for 3 years, not 75. Of course, if your spouse is older or something, I think we can still, in most cases, get you health insurance for 3 years, around 60,000 total, like 20,000 crowns a year. So it might not be that bad. If you wish, get in touch and I'll be happy to send you the exact quotes for the insurance. And we can also figure out the way how to get the spouse here. Like the family reunification visa might be better than the residence permit. Ganiu Salau, is there any age limit for applying for masters in the Czech Republic? Well, again, as I talked about it before, it's not that much about your age. It's more about your story and how real it is. So if you have a reason to study some university program here when you're 45, I can see that happen. But even if you're like 19 and you want to study bachelor's, it might not happen. So it depends on what's your motivation and how you can present it at the embassy when you're applying. So I don't think there is any specific limit for that, but it depends on the conditions and the situation, also on what you want to study, all that. So Sailik Hedakar, is it possible to convert from employee card to EU Blue Card? Yes, that's possible. We do it from time to time. It actually does not really make much sense. It makes sense to apply for a blue card instead of an employee card because that brings you plenty of benefits from the beginning. But if you're already here under the employee card, usually we get a lot of questions about that, but people don't do it too often. Because if you're here under the employee card and your job meets the requirements for the blue card, so you would be keeping the same job, you just want to switch to the blue card, it's not that easy. The company would need to advertise the new position for the blue card, and you basically need to submit a completely new application. You don't have to do it through the embassy, you can do it at the Ministry of the Interior, but it's a completely new application with completely new vacancy number. So it's a process which will take a couple months and the company needs to support you in that. Plus, it doesn't really bring you any additional benefits. Like if someone just donated money to me, so I got distracted. Sorry, I will get there. Thank you very much. So it doesn't if the blue card has some advantages, but they're mainly important if you're just moving here. If you've been living here for some time, then it's questionable if it makes sense to switch to the blue card. But yes, it's technically possible. Subhash, how many Indian students you guys assisted for visa processes till now? How many people got the visa? It's hard to say. Yeah, I would need to, it would be a wild guess. I would say a couple tens. So probably not more like 100. So below 100 probably. Because we've been in this business for 12 years and we focused on students in the beginning, like the first year or two. Then we didn't really do students. And now we started with students again, like the last year or two. So we had a gap of 8 years. We were not really helping students for some reasons. Now, so I would say probably we've done over 10,000 applications, 12, 14 in total. And students would be from India specifically would be, below 100 for sure. Yogurt, hi Yogurt. Thank you for joining. How sweet of you. That was a bad pun. Anyway, Abhilash Keiraj. Hi Jan, I'm from India now in Czech with a blue card. I would like to bring my wife and kids. How long it take to get a family visa, or if it's only for kids now, how long it will take? Well, it's depends on what you want to apply for them. If it's just a long-term visa and you start now, you can have them here. What's now? Beginning of April, so end of April, let's say prepare everything. May, June, July, August. Probably by August you could have them here. But if you don't start right now, we're talking about next year somewhere. Because the thing is, now the season is still pretty low. So all the applications all the people who contact us now, we try to rush them to apply now. From India. Because now the season is not that high, so we will be able to get appointments for people. But when we get to July, the chances of getting an appointment as a student or family reunification significantly decrease, because that's when most of the people start applying. July, August, September, October is still super high. So now since November or December, we got all the appointments we needed in India. All the clients who needed an appointment, we got it for them. But when we get to August, might be still everyone, might be 50%. When we get to September, October, might be 50%, might be 30% of our clients who get an appointment. So the chances drop significantly. So depends on when you apply and what you apply for, because also the visa, officially the approval time is 60 to 90 days. For residence permit, it's 270 days officially. Of course, can be faster. Usually it is faster, but also, but you're a blue card holder, so it's shorter anyway. It's 180, I believe. So yeah, hopefully this was good enough answer. Melek, I have residence in Czech for 3 years. I'm living in Brno and I'm searching for customer support, post with English and French language, applied for so many jobs, offers, but still nothing. Well, there are the job fairs where you can go. We'll be co-organizing, or like we'll be taking part of one in Prague, and I would definitely focus on service centers in Prague primarily. Companies like ExxonMobil or Accenture or others of this type, because they're constantly looking for speakers of more languages. So I would definitely try there. Shamir, hi, for business visa, it can be approved from 2 months to 90 days. Officially, the business visa approval time is 90 to 120 days. The shortest we've had is around two weeks, like 10 days, 2 weeks. The longest can be 2 years easily. Yeah. Yogurt, what is this stream about? It's about everything related to immigration to the Czech Republic and living in the Czech Republic as a foreigner. So all different types of visas, residence permits, health insurance, starting a business in the Czech Republic, finding accommodation in the Czech Republic, everything. Mochtrizvan, I have work permit. Congratulations. I don't know. Doesn't seem to be any question there. Does the permanent residence permit trvalý pobyt allow you to work in other EU countries? Would companies in, for example, Austria hire you? Is there something to know about it? Děkuji. That's kind of a tricky question, because generally, yes. But it depends. If you just have a permanent residency for the Czech Republic, it doesn't allow you to do anything anywhere. But if you have the status of a long-term resident of the EU, so permanent residency plus this granted status, then it officially allows you to live and work in other countries as well. But the question is how experienced the companies in that country are. And usually countries anyway have some local rules anyway. So if you, for example, have a permanent residency in other EU country and you want to come to the Czech Republic, you anyway need to get a local residence permit based on your employment to be able to live here long term. So in most cases, other countries have similar rules as well. So you would still most likely need to get some local permit as well. Subhash, let's say I didn't mention my previous master's degree in any of the papers. There won't be any consequences, right? I could say something else in the interview. Well, the question is if it would be beneficial for you, because if you have like 5 years gap from your bachelor's because you don't mention your master's, it might look worse than if you say that you already have master's but you want to get another and you have a good reason for that. So it's definitely difficult to say if it would increase your chances or decrease your chances. But other than that, you would be lying to the government. So if they somehow found out, I cannot imagine how, but if they did, that would definitely be a problem for you. Omar Designs, I will be in touch in email in order to explain what we discussed previously about translation and so on. I'm currently resolving some issues with the university. No problem. Get in touch whenever you're ready. Until then, stay safe and take care of yourself. Thank you so much. Same to you. Thank you for joining. Yogurt. Hi, I'm from Czech Republic and I'm sorry that I'm probably interrupting your debate. I just don't know what's going on. Já to můžu vysvětlit i v češtině, už jsem o tom mluvil teda před chvilkou. Tenhle livestream je o cizincích v České republice, o různých typech víz, o startování biznesu v České republice, zdravotním pojištění a podobně. Takže pokud vás něco zajímá nebo tě zajímá něco v tomhle ohledu, tak se klidně zeptej v češtině, v angličtině, je to jedno. Yeah, guys, now you heard me speak in Czech. Pomat Rizvan, how to get appointment from the embassy. Come on, not another one. Not another one. I'm sorry, guys. Guys, why don't you A, listen to my advice, B, why don't you verify some information before you pay someone for a work permit? Come on. Like, how can you pay someone money for something you don't know you will be able to use? I'm getting angry because it really like pisses me off. Okay? Like, I see this all the time. Like, we have so many inquiries. Hey, Jan, or hey, move to Prague. We've received. I have a work permit from the Czech Republic. I cannot get an appointment. Can you help me? No, we cannot help you because there are no appointments. You've been scammed. You've paid 2,000 euros to a scammer. Okay, guys, please share this information. I made a video called Real or Fake. It's on my channel and I talk about it there. I explain everything, how it all works, why you should not do that. And you still do it, and you come here and complain that you cannot get an appointment. You cannot get an appointment because there are no appointments, you've been scammed. That's the reason. Yeah, I'm sorry, but this is like really, we receive like so many. Every month we receive like, I don't know, 20 similar emails. I have a work contract, I have a work permit, I cannot get an appointment. Can you help me get an appointment? We cannot because there is no appointment. You've been scammed. You've paid money to someone who never wanted you to get an appointment. Sorry to hear that, but you should have asked some questions before paying. The first question would be, can I get an appointment? And not asking that when you paid already and you cannot get an appointment. Okay, so that was my emotions. Zippo, thanks for the answer. Sorry for the clarity of the question, but there is a limit how many letters can type. Sometimes it's difficult to formulate the question correctly. Okay, I didn't even know that there is a limit for the comments. And I still don't know who sent the money. Oh, I'm here. Omar Design. Omar, and he left, I guess. And there are so many questions I haven't been through, so I will need to start answering faster because I want to go home. It's been 52 minutes. It's past 10 o'clock at night and I'm like in the middle of the question. So, Joel, hello, how are you? I'm good. How are you? Thank you for joining. Semdeka. Can I ask you something? The visa procedure after marriage. We are planning to get married with my fiance on June. How should we proceed about visa step? I mean, we are accepted to enroll master's degree in Prague in 24-25. I'm working in Dubai and my family is in Uganda. Can I get you tell me how we can visit Czech? Well, I would need to know obviously a bit more because I don't know where you're from. You're working in Dubai, but are you from Dubai or are you from somewhere else? Families in Uganda, are they from Uganda or they're from somewhere else? Do they live in Uganda? Do they live somewhere else? Generally speaking, if one of you is the main applicant, let's say you get a family, you get a student visa, student residence permit, you can bring your family under family reunification visa. Potentially you could both, if it's just you and your spouse, you could both apply for student visas, so you would not be attached to each other. But one of you can get the student visa, the other can also get the family reunification. So it depends kind of on the case and what's the situation. In some cases might be best if you apply separately. In some cases might be better if you apply for the family reunification. So I would need to know more to give a better advice. Yogurt, better explanation than my citizenship teacher gives. Thank you, Yogurt. So you are already a Czech citizen, you said, right? So you're a foreigner and you got a Czech citizenship, so you had a teacher for that? Let me know. That sounds kind of interesting. Is there any scope for doctors? Not sure what you mean by scope for doctors. So if you can clarify that, I'll be happy to answer. And again, shout out to Omar Designs. He sent me 1,000 of, I don't remember the currency, but it translates to around like $7.50, 43 cents. So thank you very much for that. Omar, thank you for joining and for supporting me. Mr. World, any chances to get Czech Republic appointment for long-term work visa from India? Okay, if you heard me shouting some minutes ago, then you know my answer. Yeah, KHG Good evening, Jan. I was invited to interview at Czech consulate. At first visa application, I was rejected. I tried a second time. They invited me interview 14th of March. I wait decision. Well, that happens because especially if you had visa before denied, then they try to verify some of the information. And yeah, I would say that's pretty common to have an interview about that. Sailik Kedekar, about switching from employee card to blue card. What if I switch jobs? Can I ask my new employer to sponsor for blue card? Yes, of course. That would be a good thing to do. But you need to keep in mind that you only have 60 days to be without a job under the employee card. So you should not really do it the way that you leave the job and then you apply for the blue card and then you, fingers crossed, hope for the best. You should ideally stay under the current job you have. Under the current job you have, apply for the blue card, and once approved, then leave the job and like switch to the new one. Joel, I want to just visit Czech visa with my family, son and wife. I'm Dubai. Well, visiting, we don't really do short-term visa, so I cannot really advise about that. We primarily focus on bringing people to the Czech Republic or like getting the long-term options. So Bharat Krishna, I got a 2-year work permit from Czech Republic company, but I couldn't get appointment. It's been almost 5 months. Are they scamming me? Yes, they scammed you before. Guys, please, hey Bharat, listen to like me being very kind of aggressive like 5 minutes ago or 6 minutes ago when I finished the live stream. Go back there and listen, or go to the channel and look for real or fake and watch that video, because yes, you've been scammed either on purpose or by someone who doesn't know what they do, but either way you've been scammed. You cannot get an appointment. You cannot get an appointment. You cannot get an appointment. So whatever they sold you for whatever price, they scammed you. Yes. Cool boy. After 2 years on blue card, when a person changed the jobs, does it need to highly skilled job only, or he can work in any job? If you want to keep the blue card, you still need to fulfill the conditions of the blue card, which is at least bachelor's degree. The position must be posted for blue card holders and your salary must be above the limit. So if you want to keep the blue card, your job needs to meet the blue card requirements. Mr. World, any chances to get embassy appointment for long-term work visa from India? I talked about it million times already. Nope. Sabit Mustafa, I'm interested in working in Czech. How can I get work permit visa? Guys, I don't know, of course, where you're from, Sabit Mustafa, but if you've heard me talking about work permits, just like choose a different country. Don't pay anyone to get you a Czech work permit, because depending on what country you're from, you will never get here, and you just spend your money, time, and hope for something that is a scam. So, Joel, can I get visit visa to Czech with family? Generally, you can. Czech Republic offers short-term visas, but then it depends on where you're from and like what would be the travels, all that, if you have some history in Schengen countries. So it might happen, it might not happen. Shekar asks, hello, how much a freelance should make to get eligible for residence permit? This is for non-EU citizen. For the first step, which is the long-term visa, you need to have equivalent to 160,000 crowns in your bank account. For the residence permit, you need to be making enough on monthly basis, and there is a calculation for that. So it depends on where you live, how much is your rent, how many family members you have, all that. But if you're a single person living in Prague, the ministry knows nothing about you. You would need to be making, let's say, 22,000 crowns net after all the social security, healthcare, income tax, everything, roughly. Precious, will there be visa examination for bachelor? Not sure what you mean exactly by examination, visa examination. Let me know. Gashpal Singh, hello sir, how are you? I'm good, Gashpal, how are you? Sorry, I didn't completely understand the difference with the PR permit and the residence status. What I applied for is permanent residence after 5 continuous years. Yeah, well, the permanent residency is the actual card and the status you have, or like you applied for a permanent residency card. So let's say that's the card. But the status, the long-term resident of the EU is an additional status which is given to you if you request it. So if you didn't request it, it's possible that the ministry will not give it to you. Sometimes they do anyway, but generally you should request it kind of on top of the permanent residency. So when you get the permanent residence card, it will be written on the card if you're a long-term resident of the EU or not. It's basically just an additional status on top of your PR. Johnny Achilles Jelinek, I'm Czech in Canada. What job they get in? Why you bring people at Czech? We don't have money for our people. Not sure exactly what you mean, man. It's kind of the same question as asking like, what do you do in Canada? Like, why they don't need Czech people in Canada? You know, it's kind of a similar question. Why we're bringing people to the Czech Republic. There are so many jobs that Czech people don't want to do or don't have qualifications for that there is no way to sustain it without bringing people from outside of the Czech Republic. Bharat Krisha, thank you for replying. My pleasure. Pressures, and can you help me with some guide? I just applied for a school in Prague and waiting to take the gap test. Any advice from me? Well, no, I'm not sure what advice. What advice should I get about this? Okay, Jenny Achilles Jelinek. When we wanna go home, we cannot get house apartment. Come on, man. What is the question? Like, you're blaming everything on foreigners. You being a Czech in Canada, and you're like blaming foreigners in the Czech Republic for your problems. I don't really see how is that connected, right? Well, the housing crisis is not really like connected to foreigners. Yes, Ukrainians fled in the like country because Putin invading them with rockets and like bombs and tanks and everything. So yeah, if you want to like if you want to blame these people for taking an apartment from you, go ahead, but not on my live stream. Thank you. Alamgir Mohammed, sir, I need Czech Republic long-term visa appointment from UAE. Get in touch if you, but it depends. If you only need an appointment, we don't really help with that. If you need any help with your visa, get in touch, but depends on what's your situation and what type of visa you want to apply for. Cool boy, I'm here on blue card. Me and my girlfriend live together for last 3 months. Can I apply for PR? What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? That's like the favorite or like famous meme right now with the, I don't know, the famous actor who says, what do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? So like, how is your like girlfriend helping you get a PR? I don't see the connection there. You can apply for a partnership visa, but it depends on how long have you been together. If you have been together for 3 months, that's not really like the partnership visa requirements. If you've been together for a year, living together for 3 months, that might be possible, but you would not be applying for a PR, you would be applying just for the partnership visa. Precious, visa examination in the interview examination or test for the visa. I don't really know what you mean, like from the Czech language or like some mathematics test, some equations, or what do you mean? When you go to the embassy, apply for your visa, and they will question your motivation, like why you want to study in the Czech Republic, why exactly this program, why don't you want to study somewhere else? So they will ask you questions like that, but they don't test you like from any like Czech skills or mathematics skills or anything like that. Nick Torres, can I get a freelance visa with a remote working job? Not really. If you're one of the 9 nationalities which qualify for the Czech digital nomad visa, then potentially you could, but only if you work in IT and you have 3 years of experience or education in IT and you can prove that. So in that case, you could potentially get the digital nomad visa, but any other like freelance visa, Czech Republic, you always need to prove why you need to do this from the Czech Republic. If you have a remote job, there is no reason for you to do it from the Czech Republic, so you cannot really get the visa. The digital nomad visa is an exception, but that only applies to 9 nationalities in the world and only IT. Tommy Shelby, hello. Hi Tommy, thank you for joining. Sabit Mustafa, I'm from Ethiopia. How can I get a work permit visa? Very hardly. I would definitely recommend trying a different country than the Czech Republic. I don't know exactly from top of my head, but I expect there being quotas in Ethiopia, which means that you will hardly ever get an appointment. So don't fall for any scams. Don't pay anyone to get you work permit for like 2,000 euros or something, because most likely you will never get an appointment. I would need to double check, but I'm pretty sure there are quotas and the quotas will not be very high. Prabhat Ranjan, do postgraduate students get post-study work visa? If you have a student status and it's an accredited program, then you can also get the job seeker residence permit. If you're a researcher, you can do that as well. If it was a non-accredited program or something, not really. James Chris, hello. Hi, James. Thank you for joining. Guys, I will probably do just a couple last questions because I'm sitting here and my neck is already like broken almost. And it's also like 10:30, so I will probably need to head home. So I'll just do whatever is here now. Tommy Shelby is the last person I will comment on. Okay. So, Gurvinder, I'm having blue card for last 2 years. How can I get PR? Well, you need to gain 3 more years and then you can get a PR. Generally, you can get PR after 5 years of living here. Potentially, if you had the blue card in some other EU country before, then those years would count. So if you had 3 years of a blue card in Germany, you could potentially apply for a PR even now after 2 years of living here. But if this is your first blue card, then you need to wait for another 3 years. So keep extending the blue card until you reach 5 years. Pressures, thanks so much. I really appreciate. Happy to help. Hi, I'm a construction electrician. How to come? Yeah, it's too late. Sorry for what came to my mind. Anyway, Alice, all is well. Well, it depends where you're from. If you're from a non-EU country, that might be impossible for you to get here, depending on what country you're from and what are the quotas there. If you're from an EU country, you can come here freely and just find a job and start working. So it depends. It's a very general question. Precious, one last question. Do you help with visa application? We do. That's one of the main things we do. So it depends, but we prefer starting to work with clients like from the very beginning. Like because all the people here asking about the work permit appointment, they usually come to us saying, hey, I have a work permit, I paid 2,000 euros for this, can you help me get an appointment? And at that point, we cannot help at all. If you got in touch with us before you paid someone money for your work permit, we would have told you, hey, man, don't do that. You don't have any chance to get an appointment because there are no available appointments. Or we would tell you, okay, so there are 12 appointments a year. So one person can apply a month. The chances that you will get an appointment are very, very, very low. Do you want to go through the process, even though there is no guarantee you will ever get an appointment, or you don't? We always start from that. So if you are just starting your visa application, get in touch. We'll be happy to help. If you're somewhere already like close and you just need our help with getting an appointment or something, that might be already a bit too late to start working with us. But generally, yes, of course, that's one of the main things we do, helping with visas. So Tommy Shelby, are there any tensions going on between the Czech Republic and Russia? Well, but I mean, I guess that's a real question. I guess you're not a troll, just just like gaslighting the like discussion here. Well, let me put it this way: like Czechs and Russians, I would say intelligent Czechs and Russians have no problems with each other. You know, intelligent people don't have any problems with any other people, any other nationality. Like in general, you can have a concrete problem with some like Czech person or Russian person. Yes, like on like one-to-one basis, of course. But as a nation, not really. There is no reason for that. The politicians, that's a different situation because Putin is a piece of whatever. I cannot say it here. So everything in Russia under Putin is just like unreal. You know, he's a dictator. He's like he scares everyone, and everyone is scared of them, and everyone is like all. I mean, the higher people, of course, not all the other people, but the leaders, let's say, the politicians, and they spread the politics of Putin to the world. So of course there is a huge tension between the Czech Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So like politically, yes, there is a big tension and there is a lot of problems, and we like tease each other. So we, for example, renamed some streets in Prague around the Russian embassy to reflect that we stand with Ukraine. And politicians from Russia didn't really take it lightly. We are one of the biggest, as a Czech Republic, for the Putin's regime. We're one of the biggest enemies countries. So yes, politically there is a big tension. Among normal, intelligent people, there cannot be a tension because normal people, especially Russians living in the Czech Republic, they have nothing to do with Putin and his like stupidity. So from like normal people, intelligent people perspective, no problem there, and I don't see a reason why there should be. But of course there are not that intelligent people, and there are politics, and yes, there might be some tensions. So the last three questions or comments here. James Chris, can I switch my employee card to student ones? Yes, that's possible. Question is if it's beneficial for you or not. The benefit of that is that as a student you get free access to the labor market, so you're not tied to one employer. You can work freely. On the other hand, all the student years only count as half towards your permanent residency. So if you want to get a permanent residency, it might not be best to switch to the student residence permit because the years there will only count as half. Bimal Tama Kuvala, hi Bimal, thank you for joining. Shamir, can someone get citizenship by working in Czech for 1 year or more? You can get Czech citizenship by working in the Czech Republic, but you generally need to do it after, or you generally qualify for citizenship after 10 years of living here or after 5 years of having permanent residency, which in most cases is the same thing because you can get permanent after 5 years and then 5 years of permanent, but there are different scenarios. Sometimes it can be faster, sometimes it can be longer, but definitely not after 1 year. Unless you have ancestors from the Czech Republic, your like parents or grandparents. Verinci, hi Verinci, thank you for joining. Nice to see you here. Can I apply for a change of employer multiple times in a year? Technically, yes, but the question is like if to do it. Yes, in theory you can do it. You can change employers as many times as you want, but at some point it will kind of, the ministry will start asking questions. Like if you change employer 3 times, like they will be like, what the fuck, man? What are you doing? Are you just scamming us or whatever? And they might request some explanation, or it might potentially cause some problems with the extension of your employee card. So I would be careful with that. Of course, situations happen, life happens, and you might get fired, or it might be very abusive environment in the job, or they didn't give you what they promised. I don't know. So you want to change. So just change more carefully next year or next time, because yes, you can do it, but at some point the ministry could start asking questions why you keep changing employers again and again and again. Sabit, when life ended, I will end it soon. I already said that I would end it after some of the previous comments, but there are some good questions as well, so I wanted to continue, but coming to the end very soon. Shamir, one more question. Countries outside EU is same for processing time for visa? Not really. Like generally, yes. If you say you apply for a business visa, it always should take between 90 and 120 days maximum. But of course, depending on where you apply and what's your nationality, it can be completely different times, between like 10 days and 2 years. So, Nick Torres, what is the best job to get a visa in the Czech Republic? Teaching English. I'm from the US. Well, question is, okay, so the best job to get a visa, yes, teaching English. Well, let me put it this way. Teaching English is the easiest job to get, and then it's okay to get a visa based on that. So yes, teaching jobs are easy to get, especially if you have TEFL certification. So that's the easiest way. But if you can get a different job, it will be better for you, because you don't have to apply for the živno visa or a business visa, freelancer visa, whatever, but you could actually apply even for an employee card or a blue card, which would be definitely way beneficial for you from the immigration perspective. So the best job to get a visa might not be teaching English, but it might be the easiest job to get, so you can get a visa. So, but again, I talked about that before a couple times, that you should think a bit long term. So what's your goal? If your goal is to stay here for a year or two and then move somewhere else, teaching English, like, why not? It will not make you money. You will not save anything, but you will be able to sustain yourself and maybe travel a bit and like have a lot of beer. And for 1 year, 2 years, good option. If you want to stay here long term, you might want to approach it in a different way, or also depends on your timing. So like when you want to come. If you have a limited amount of time, you want to come like this summer, okay, teaching probably is the way to go, because it's still the easiest to find a job as an English teacher. But if you have a bit more time, I would recommend looking for different types of jobs which will actually pay you some money, and where you can get an employee card or blue card. So it depends on the situation. Yes, the teaching is still the easiest way of getting a visa for Americans, but there are other ways as well. Toki, dobrý večer, jak se ten večer máte? Dobrý večer, mám se ten večer se mám výborně, jak jste z Plzně nebo odkud? Děkuji za připojení. Cool boy, can I work freelance jobs also with my main job on blue card? Yes, you can. I actually had a consultation about that with one Filipino lady earlier today. She had an employee card and she wanted to start her side business. That's completely fine, but you need to keep in mind that you need to fulfill the purpose of your stay. The purpose of your stay is employment, so you primarily need to be employed. As long as you are employed, you can also have the business on the side, but it should not go the way that you leave the job and you will be only doing the business, because then you would lose the blue card at some point. I answered all the questions. Oh, my neck is aching. So thank you very much all for joining. It's been 79 minutes with you guys. That's a long time. So thank you very much for asking the questions. Hopefully the answers were useful. And come next time, recommend the channel, share it, comment, like it, spread the news. Thank you guys, and see you again Thursday, Monday, until the end of the world. See you. Good night, guys. Bye-bye.